Hey y'all, it's Heel Heat time.
Hi everybody and welcome to Heel Heat. My name is George Coles and this is a Heel Heat Top 10. The subject of this Top 10, the Bullet Club. Now we all know and love the Bullet Club and we're just now 2 days beyond their 5-year anniversary. They've been going strong for 5 years, probably going to go strong for another 5 more. But at this point, we're going to stop. We're going to take a look at all the members and do a top 10 members of the Bullet Club 5 years into it. Let's start it off right away with the villain at number 10, the villain Marty Scurll. Marty joined about a year and a half ago. He's been a junior heavyweight champion in New Japan. He's been a never openweight 6-man champion. Say that 3 times, and he is currently that. And a Ring of Honor television champion all during this time. He's been involved in what I consider the globalization, the real globalization of the Bullet Club, where he's in the push for the All In show. He's in the Being the Elite series. He's all over the television. And he's one of the guys who is a perfect fit for the Bullet Club in this incarnation. He gives you that character. He gives you that coolness factor. He's a guy that all the fans want to jump behind. He's currently a top contender for the Ring of Honor World Championship, so he might move up here in the rankings of the Bullet Club, but at this point he stands at number 10. Now our number 9 is one of the early members of the Bullet Club, Doc Gallows, aka you know him now as Luke Gallows in WWE. What can be said about Gallows and his work in the Bullet Club? 3-time tag champion, won the World Tag League tournament while there, was a solid member, was one of the guys that really got the Bullet Club popular in the beginning, brought the attitude to it, he was a real known star, and it kind of went hand in hand. He helped out the Bullet Club and the Bullet Club helped him out. A guy that probably, if he would have stayed in New Japan, would be higher on this list. But at this point, because of when he left, and because of the popularity of the club after he left, unfortunately he falls to number 9. Now our number 8 member is a guy that's been a member for about a year and a half now, and that's Cody Rhodes, the American Nightmare. Depending on where you're at, you could call it Cody Rhodes, but most people, for legal reasons, he usually goes by just Cody. But the American Nightmare has added an actual heel into the Bullet Club. Some people liked him, some people didn't. He brought a divisiveness to it. You can't argue with what he's done, though. He's been a Ring of Honor World Champion most of his tenure in the Bullet Club. He's started the civil war within the Bullet Club between him and Kenny Omega. He's got, since becoming an independent wrestler, he's helped further the Bullet Club into America, further the worldwide domination that we're seeing from them. He's a guy that goes back and forth from New Japan and Ring of Honor, the 2 strongholds really of the Bullet Club. And to me, I think he's a guy that doesn't get as much credit as he deserves. I think he's a really great wrestler. I really enjoy his character. He's entertaining on Being the Elite. He's a guy that when you think of the Bullet Club, you think Cody right up front. And he's definitely came into his own with that. Now our number 7 guy was one of the first guys that they brought in to give them a Ring of Honor presence. And that is Adam Cole, baby. You have to say it every time you say his name. 2-time Ring of Honor champ during his tenure in the Bullet Club. Kind of the de facto leader of the Bullet Club in America when There are certain guys that bounce back and forth like the Young Bucks do, Marty Scurll does now. But at the time he was there wasn't too many. It was basically just the Bucks that were coming over. So they needed to build a presence in America with a guy that was going to be here the majority of the time. Adam Cole fit the bill, fit it pretty well, carried that on, became the Ring of Honor champion, ran with it, and just hasn't looked back, has furthered his career with it, has become a main star. Right now he's tearing up NXT, soon to be on the WWE roster. The sky is the limit with Adam Cole. I believe when all is said and done in the career of Adam Cole, he's going to be one of the 5 or 10 greatest wrestlers of all time. And he's well on his way there. The only reason he's so low on this list is because of the brevity of his time in the club. But other than that, a fantastic addition. His attitude, his style, everything fit the Bullet Club. He helped bring them into America, helped them really get a real foothold here. So you can't say nothing bad about the guy. I believe he's a guy that really helped with the expansion. Now our number 6 guy is one of the original members of the Bullet Club, and that's the Machine Gun Karl Anderson. A 3-time World Tag Team Champion in New Japan, World Tag League Champion with his partner Doc Gallows at the time. The difference between Gallows and Anderson, and why Gallows is 9 and Anderson is 6, is during the run of the Bullet Club when they were there, Anderson was considered the co-leader with both AJ Styles and Prince Devitt. So, to me, he gets a little bit of a nod because of his standing in the group, and he was one of the stars going into the group in New Japan. He was a big star already there, and he was doing big things already. So he lended that credibility to the group. It's funny that Karl Anderson's name is Anderson because he was almost the Arn Anderson of the Bullet Club to the Ric Flair of the Four Horsemen, if you get what I mean. Basically, when Devitt was the leader, he was the second in command. When Styles was the leader, he was the second in command. So he was kind of the Bullet Club's version of Arn Anderson. Fittingly, it's Karl Anderson. But just a great wrestler, a great talker. For those of you who have only seen him in WWE, go back and watch some of his New Japan stuff. It's kind of like they took a beautiful peacock and cut its wings off and just neutered him. He's great here and not used properly, but man, when he's on, there is very few wrestlers in the world that stylistically, attitude-wise, storytelling-wise, he's right up there with the best of the best, which is why he's so high on this list. Now, our number 5 guy is also an original card-carrying member and still a member of the Bullet Club, Tama Tonga, the bad boy. I love Tama Tonga. I think right now, New Japan should make him the leader of the Bullet Club, whether they stick with Kenny and Cody both being there or get one of the two out of there. I think he's a guy that would fit the role. I think he's a criminally underused talent in New Japan. Ever since his turn with the Bullet Club, he's been a 2-time CMLL Tag Team Champion, a 3-time New Japan Tag Team Champion, a 3-time Never Openweight 6-Man Champion. I'd love to see him move a little bit away from the Gorillas of Destiny and become maybe an Intercontinental Champion or a U.S. Champion moving forward, or even challenge for the World title. I think the sky's the limit on Tama. I really love him. I love his character. I love the bad boy gimmick. I like everything about his presentation. I love the Gorillas of Destiny. Don't get me wrong. They're one of my favorite tag teams. But I think it might be time for him to move on from that. Maybe let Tongaroa and Hikuleo move on as a tag team, or Tonga and Fale, or Tonga and Yujiro, or whatever you might want to do with to supplement him in a tag team in the Bullet Club. But I think it's time we let Tama shine as a singles wrestler. Now, our number 4. I have to put him here because they're 2 as 1. The Young Bucks. how can you argue with what Nick and Matt Jackson have done for the Bullet Club? Arguably, they're the people that have made it a commercial success, that basically everything they say, everything they do becomes a top-selling t-shirt. I'm wearing one of their shirts right now. They've been a 7-time junior tag team champion in New Japan, 3-time never openweight 6-man champion. They won the Super Junior Tag Tournament. They've been 3-time Ring of Honor tag champions, Ring of Honor 6-man tag champions. All this during their run in the Bullet Club. They've made it to where the Bullet Club gear is being sold in Hot Topic. They've made it one of the hottest brands in professional wrestling, arguably the hottest brand in professional wrestling, and they've done it all outside of what people would consider the corporate WWE landscape. And they've bridged the gap between New Japan and Ring of Honor. They've added depth to the Bullet Club with being the Elite Series. They're what I consider the best tag team of this generation, and arguably one of the greatest tag teams of all time, probably in the short list of the top 3 or 4, and they still got a lot of time to go. That's the crazy thing about it. Well, for all they've accomplished, they're still relatively young guys, so they could go on for another 10 years and double all of their accomplishments and firmly plant themselves as one of the top 2 or 3 tag teams of all time. And to me, like I said, they're the guys that I consider took the Bullet Club, which was popular, and it was getting a little popular in America in a certain set, and now it's one of the most popular things in America, along with Japan. Not just the Japanese faction. They're who I consider most responsible for the American popularity of the Bullet Club. Now, our number 3 is a guy that goes hand in hand with them. Someone you think of when you think of the Young Bucks. That's the cleaner Kenny Omega. The 3rd leader of the Bullet Club, 4th if you count Karl Anderson. He's been an Intercontinental Champion, a 2-time Junior Champion, a U.S. Champion, and a 2-time never openweight 6-man championship. It's so hard to say that title. And he's also won the G1 Classic, all while being a member of the Bullet Club. Also, he's become the best bout machine, where he's got 5, 6, I don't even know what the number is now, 5-star or better ratings in the Wrestling Observer by Dave Meltzer. He's got the 6.25-star match, the highest rated match of all time. A constant challenger to Okada for his world championship. A constant threat to any championship on the roster. Like I said with the Bucks, on a little bit of a lesser level, Kenny Omega, while the Bucks built the popularity of the Bullet Club in America, Kenny was working on building the popularity in Japan. And don't get me wrong, he's helped with the American popularity too. Part of the globalization of New Japan Pro Wrestling, and specifically the Bullet Club, has been that core of those 3 guys, Kenny Omega and the Young Bucks. The Being the Elite Series has started off as a travelogue for the 3 of them, the 3 being the Elite. The Omega and the Bucks considering themselves the elite of the Bullet Club, a subset within it. What can you say about the guy? He's probably the best wrestler in the world right now. It's hard pressed for you to give me any argument for someone that isn't. Maybe Okada, maybe a couple other guys that are on his level, but his level is so high that he's drawing in fans to New Japan Wrestling, to the Bullet Club, to Kenny Omega. He's putting on amazing stories, whether it's the Golden Lovers saga that's going on, his chase of Okada, him and Cody's feud that's going on currently. Just a great wrestler and a great storyteller. And again, much like I said with the Bucks, when we look at it when his career is over, we're going to put Kenny Omega in one of the top 5, 10 wrestlers of all time. Could easily see him moving into the top 2 or 3 wrestlers of all time if he continues on the trajectory he is right now. Now, our number 2 guy is the phenomenal one, AJ Styles. The only reason that Styles, in my opinion, beats out Omega is he was there for the start of the globalization. He gave the Bullet Club a credibility in America with a name that American wrestling fans knew. Everybody knows who AJ Styles is. Coming off his TNA run, he was Mr. TNA. He made that company. And while he was in the Bullet Club, it's arguable that he's the most successful member. He's a two-time IWGP World Champion, which is nothing to be sneezed at. That's a title that in my opinion, holds one of the highest prestiges in the world. I mean, less people have been IWGP World Champion than have been WWE Champion, than have been Impact Champion. It's harder to get that belt. It's not everybody gets that belt. Not everybody gets that opportunity. And AJ Styles, for the short run he was there in Japan, won it twice. Put on some of the greatest matches of all time while he was there. Just a guy everybody knows, everybody loves. Brought the notoriety to the Bullet Club, brought a globalization, like I said, with a lot of these guys, and brought a credibility to the Bullet Club that was there before him, but added more credibility to where you looked at them as a serious faction with a serious leader, with someone that could actually take any championship in the company anytime he wanted to. Now, before we move on to number one, we're going to go on to our best of the rest. And basically, this is the people that were considered for the top 10, that while I was doing this, they just barely missed it. So, we'll start it off with a Bullet Club original, the Underboss, Bad Luck Fale. I love Bad Luck Fale. Much like I said with Tama Tonga, I think he's criminally underrated. I think he's a guy that they could do a lot more for. All three of these guys that I'm going to mention here on the Best of the Rest, I believe the same thing about. He's been an Intercontinental Champion and a never openweight six-man champion since the beginning of the Bullet Club. I really think he could be more. I don't think New Japan quite uses him to the best of his ability. I think he could be an unstoppable monster, something like a Samoa Joe or a Brock Lesnar or a Braun Strowman type character. And I just don't get it. He exudes the coolness factor of the Bullet Club. When you look at the guy, he just looks cool and calm. He looks like a guy that could beat you up at any time. He looks like a mafia boss, basically. I love Fale, and the only reason he didn't make the top 10 is there's guys that I think have been more successful in the Bullet Club. But through no fault of his own, he's still one of my favorite characters. Moving on. Also on the Best of the Rest, Yujiro Takahashi. Now Yujiro hasn't been that great of a success within the Bullet Club. A lot of times he's the guy that eats the pin on the multiple man championship or tag matches they have. He's been a never openweight six-man champion. Basically, that's the only real title he's had since he was there. But to me, the impact of him being the first Japanese wrestler to join the Bullet Club was a huge thing, because the group was an outsider group of people, in Japanese terms, gaijins, that weren't part of Japanese culture and Japanese wrestling. Much like I've said with Fale, much like I said with Tama Tonga, I think Yujiro is a guy that they could use in better position. I could easily see him being a U.S. title contender, Intercontinental title contender, a tag title contender with multiple different partners. I know it's a little bit clustered and it's a little bit hard to push all these guys, so that's probably why he ends up being on the lower end. But for me, he's on my Best of the Rest out of the respect I have for him. Last but not least on the Best of the Rest, the crown jewel Chase Owens. I wanted to mention Chase, and shout out to Hangman Adam Page as well. You're awesome, and I think your career is going skyrocketing right now. But Chase Owens is criminally underrated, both in America and in New Japan. I think Chase Owens, if he was a guy that wrestled in Ring of Honor, we would look at him in the same vein as we do Cody Rhodes, as we do Adam Cole, as we do Marty Scurll. Unfortunately, he's much like Yujiro. He's often the fodder for when the Bullet Club needs to lose a 6-man or 8-man tag match. He's the guy that needs the pin. He's extremely talented and has a supreme amount of, I don't know, swagger, I guess you would say, credibility. He has that it factor, and I think Chase Owens is a guy that, as the Bullet Club goes further, it would be great to see them highlight him more and bring him into a more prominent role, in my opinion. Just my opinion on it. Now, before we get into number 1, if you think I put someone up too high, put someone down too low, left someone off the list completely, let me know what you think. Hit us up down there in the comments. Make sure you hit like and share. And if you haven't already, subscribe to this video. Now, coming from that, last but not least, our number 1 member of the Bullet Club, the guy that the Bullet Club was designed for, the real rock and roller, Prince Devitt. Almost said Finn Balor. Prince Devitt, his style, his in-ring work, everything about him changed when he joined the Bullet Club. He went from being a great juniors wrestler to being a great juniors wrestler that was also a great character. He won the Best of the Super Juniors tournament while being a member. He is a junior heavyweight champion while being there. Leader of the Bullet Club in its original incarnation. The guy that the Bullet Club was made for. The guy that made it cool to be a member of the Bullet Club. And to me, you don't have a Bullet Club, and the Bullet Club doesn't go on to where it is now if you don't start it off with him. You could have put 1,000 other wrestlers in that spot, and it would have just been another faction. You put Prince Devitt in there, and it becomes what it is now. And it's a huge monster led by a guy that just needed that opportunity to show his charisma, to show his athletic ability, to be a focal point of the company. When he finally got the ball, he ran with it and took it and made the Bullet Club what it is today. Without Prince Devitt, without him being the initial leader, I don't think the Bullet Club lasts a year or two. But that's just my opinion. Basically, that's all I have to say on that. We're 5 years into the Bullet Club. Maybe in another 5 years we'll go back and revisit this list. Some people may change, some may stay the same. Let me know again what you think. Hit me up down in the comments, like and share. Make sure to, if you haven't already, subscribe to the channel. But basically, that's all I have to say on this topic. My name is George Coles, and this has been a Heel Heat Top 10.